Watchfulness comes from a position of observation. Yes, being the observer, without attachment. Attachment is placing value on. So detachment is not placing value on. Now he's using slightly different words here than A Course in Miracles because, of course, I'd already read A Course in Miracles. And if the message didn't really get through with those words, then maybe I needed another set of words, right? The first 10 lessons of the Course teach that my thoughts are meaningless. And the person is asking, who is the writer? I am the one that had the pencil in the hand for these messages. These were messages of Holy Spirit helping me. So Holy Spirit is speaking and I am writing down and learning. So I was the physical writer. So that's where the messages are coming from. So again, the first 10 lessons of the Course tell us that our thoughts are meaningless. But now Holy Spirit is really helping me to see what I mean by that, see what that means, that these thoughts are meaningless, by using the word value and attachment. So he says attachment is placing value on a thought. So for example, if I'm giving you a link to the message in case you want to read along. So for example, if I see the thought, that guy is a jerk, and as I see that thought in my mind, I also feel anger, hatred, resentment in my chest, I'm placing value on that thought, which means I'm attached to that thought, which also means I believe that thought has meaning. If I see a thought in my mind that says, that guy is a jerk, but the thought just kind of goes through the mind, and there's no emotional reaction, I'm able to still smile at the guy and say, okay, then what can I do to be helpful, for example? Yeah, well, then what can I do? You know, instead of responding to whatever he just said, instead of responding to the thought in my mind, that means that I am not placing value on the thought. Do you see? I'm not attached to the thought. I do not see the thought as meaningful. You see, the fact that a thought shows up in the mind doesn't have to ruin my day. It doesn't have to result in an outcome of behavior or emotional reaction from me. If a thought ruins my day, or if it results in a behavior or emotional outcome in me, then what really happened was I placed value on the thought. I attached myself to the thought. I said the thought had meaning. That also means I was in my wrong mind or my ego mind. The observer, the true observer, which can also be called the state of awareness, which can also be called the resting or the silent mind, which can also be called looking at a thought with Holy Spirit, right? That right mind may see the exact same thought, but it places no value on the thought. It gives the thought no meaning. Therefore, it does not affect the one who is looking at the thought. My behavior, my emotions are not affected because the thought had no meaning, no value to me, no attachment. So watchfulness comes from a position of observation without attachment. Attachment is placing value on, so detachment is not placing value on. When I ask you to be detached, I ask you to recognize that the thought has no inherent value of itself. It is just a thought. When you accept that a thought has no inherent value of itself, you can watch the mind with a restful sense of curiosity without judgment. You see? So if we're judging a thought, and if we're feeling guilt about a thought, it's also because we're putting value on the thought. We're saying the thought had meaning. Or as he said in the previous paragraph, we believe there is an element of reality within the thought. You know, some of us, I'm sure, if not all of us, probably all of us are able to watch television and watch the commercials fly by, at least sometimes, without in any way being affected by the commercials. Right? They're meaningless. We can do the same thing with our thoughts. One way that Holy Spirit helped me once was by helping me to see my thoughts as a menu that I could choose from if I wanted to buy something off of the menu, but I didn't have to. You could say each thought is offering you an opportunity. So when the thought comes in, that guy's a jerk, that's an opportunity to believe the man is a jerk. That's an opportunity to have an emotional reaction of anger or frustration or hatred or whatever. But that doesn't mean I have to take the opportunity. I can be very detached from commercials on the TV. And I can be very detached from thoughts in the mind. That's the right mind. The observer, the awareness. It's detached. It doesn't give them meaning. It doesn't give them value. The third paragraph in the message says, many people do not know how to detach from their thoughts. They do not see how they assume inherent value and automatically judge based on that value. I will cover this now so that those wishing to learn and practice detachment may see how to do what they feel they cannot do. So for anyone who says, but I can't do that, here we go. Spirit's going to teach us how. First of all, I ask you to recognize that a sense of inherent value is assigned by an accepted belief. Accepted beliefs are perceived as facts when they are not facts. To realize that a belief is a belief and not a fact is the first step in letting go of perceived inherent value. Okay, so let's go with my first example. That guy is a jerk. All right? Spirit's asking me to look at that and realize that that is a belief. Can I at least say to myself that the guy is a jerk is a belief in the mind instead of a fact? Can I step back that far? Is it possible that someone else in the universe may not think this guy is a jerk? Right? If it's possible there's anyone else in the entire world that might not agree with me, then that means the statement in my mind is not a fact. It's a belief. And do you see how when you agree that it's a belief instead of a fact, you've taken a step back towards the observer mode? You might not be fully there yet, but you're moving in that direction, right? Yes. Let's look at another thought, okay? I'm the jerk, right? I'm the jerk for thinking that thought, okay? Because that's what some of us do, the self-judgment thing, right? I'm the jerk. Well, wait a minute. Is it possible that that's just a belief instead of a fact? This is how he's asking us to question. Is it possible that that's just a belief, my own belief, instead of a fact? Can you feel how that moves us closer to observer?